G'day everyone, thanks for clicking on another Get Up Adventures video. In this one I'm going to show you a very simple fishing rig. So we've got a swivel to a hook to a sinker. So we call this a trace or a rig, and we use this up the Murray River when we're chasing carp and anything off the bank or the boat for that matter. So it's a very simple rig. If you want to see something a bit more advanced, feel free to leave a comment of the knot that you would like to see. And even if you want to see a rig for a different species, comment below and I'll be happy to do some more videos for you. But this one's about carp, so we'll get started. So the first knot we need to know is what we call a loop knot. So this we'll use a lot throughout this video, and you'll use it a lot throughout fishing. So we grab our trace line and we just make a loop in it like that. We then make a circle in that loop and then send the end of the loop twice through that circle and pull that tight to create a knot. So any short end we call a tag end. Tighten that too. Just don't tell the dentist you use your teeth. We will then trim our tag, and that is a loop for our sinker to go through. So just make sure you tie it big enough for your sinker to fit through there, otherwise you can't get it on later on. So we then go up to the height that we want our hook. So once again, make a loop, make a circle, put the loop through the circle twice. Now this one here, I use my nail and we nail that knot down. We just manipulate it a bit. So manipulate it down towards the start of the loop, and that just creates a bit smaller loop. So what we're trying to get there is to have the loop sit out almost 90 degrees from our trace line, and that just helps hold the hook away and stops a few tangles. So the last one is another loop, so we've gone up the same height from our hook as the sinker, another loop knot, and that is for our swivel to clip onto. So we'll clip that, we'll snip that one off. So what we've just tied there is what we call a trace. So we've got a loop for our swivel, a loop for our hook, and a loop for our sinker. So you can tie heaps of these guys anytime you like. So I tie them and then put them in a sandwich bag, and it saves time having to tie them on the bank. So if you get snagged and you bust them off, tie a new swivel on and put your trace on there, and you're ready to go in next to no time. So it saves you heaps of time when you're on the bank, pre-tying them when you're at home. So the next knot we need to tie is what we call a blood knot. So I just do a simple blood knot up the river. It's nothing fancy. We've got our hook. We put our line through the eye of the hook. Give yourself plenty of length. Then just pinch on the top of the hook and your line. And then we wrap the tag around the main line 4 times. Those wraps then create a loop above the eye of the hook, and that is where your tag goes. So I then just snug that up ever so slightly, just so the knot doesn't fall apart. So there's no tension on that, it's not going anywhere. And I will lubricate this one. I then pull on the tag and the main line until my knot is about 1 centimeter long, and then we just pull main line only to neaten that knot right up. So if you end up on the main part of your line here, if you get twists or it looks a bit curly, it doesn't quite look right. So if you start to get curly bits or your line just isn't straight anymore like that, it means you've burnt the line or you've distorted your line. So probably pulled the knot a little bit too fast, or you haven't lubricated it enough. But as you can see, if you tie it nice and slow and enough lubrication, it sits nice. So then we tie another loop knot. So this can be as long or as short as you like, since we're tying our own hooks. I tie mine nice and short in the river. And then we trim that off. So we've got our hook with a blood knot down to another loop knot. So we've got a swivel here. This goes on your main line. So you put your reel on your rod, bring your line through all your guides, and then tie a swivel on. So just another blood knot. So through the eye of the swivel, 4 wraps of the tag around the main line, and then the tag back through the hole that those twists have made. And once again, snug it up a little bit, and then bit of lubrication, and then finish off by pulling on the main line only. So we'll trim the tag. So I leave my tags about 1 centimetre long. It just gives you a bit of leeway there. If your knot slips the tiny bit as the fish, or as you're fighting the fish, it just means your knot doesn't come undone straight away. Whereas if you have a shorter tag, if it slips, it just comes undone. So leave your tags about 1 centimetre long. So now that we've done our swivel, we've just got our trace here. Put the loop onto the swivel and do it back up. So that's now connected to our rod and reel. We get our sinker. We've got a hole in the sinker to put our big loop through the sinker, and then loop that straight underneath and pull it up. So that's the sinker on. The hook is very similar. You get your hook loop, and so we've got our trace in this hand and our hook in this hand. So our hook goes through the trace loop, and then the hook goes through its own loop. So the hook through the hook loop, and then just feed so the loops go around. And then when they meet, they pull tight. So your loop just basically loops together. 2 loops together. Right, so there we have it. We've got a simple rig. We've got our swivel tied onto our main line, which is now attached to our trace, which goes to our hook, which goes to our sinker. So you can use this anywhere, but it's a really efficient rig up the river. I only fish 1 hook up the river. I find any more than that, it's just a chance to hook onto a snag, something you don't want to catch, basically. So the only other tip I'll give, especially up the river, is try or don't have your hook anywhere near your sinker. So, and the same goes for your swivel. So it's amazing how many times over the years I have reeled my line in to have my hook through my swivel or one of the loops somewhere you really don't want it. And the easiest way to eliminate this is to have your hook well above your sinker, and you should be able to turn your rig upside down, and then your hook should be nowhere near your swivel. So that's what we do for carp. Like I said, there's different rigs for different species, so feel free to comment below and I'll be glad to do more videos. I hope that gets you out and catches a few carp, but do just remember they are an invasive species. They can't go back to the water alive, but there's plenty of them to catch and they are great fun. So get up, get out there and enjoy the outdoors. Thanks guys.